Hey there, Bible buddies. I've got another Bible review for you today. And this one is somewhat of a Frankenstein's monster of Bibles. I hate to say it like that, but you'll see when I open it up and get to it. I feel like there is a standard progression for people who are into collecting Bibles. You know, kind of first you start off getting less expensive Bibles, then you see the higher quality Bibles, and you start getting those. And then if you get into vintage Bibles, maybe you start getting some of those. But then inevitably what comes up is you feel the need to personalize your Bibles. And now whether that be a rebind through a professional rebinder, or whether that be some kind of easier things that you can do at home, maybe like some ribbon replacements or some end sheets, stuff like that. Usually people end up wanting to personalize their Bibles, customize their Bibles with some various things that you can do at home, some easy things. So with this Bible, this is one that I found on eBay. I purchased it for a relatively little amount of money. And I decided to go ham on it. So at the time I was getting into ribbon replacements, end sheet replacements. I was trying different dye jobs on the art guilds, all sorts of crazy stuff. I was even experimenting with some paint. So this was kind of my test bed. I wanted to try a bunch of new ideas and things. So I purchased this Bible, and it was already in pretty rough shape when I got it. So I figured, hey, why not? Plus it was written in, so it had been very well used. So I figured, hey, why not? This would be a perfect test bed. So I tried out a bunch of things on it, and I wanted to share that with you today. So let's get into it. I have a Sharpie here for size reference. We'll go ahead and move that off to the side. Let's take a look. Funny enough, let's take a look at this this little guarantee card that came with the Bible originally from Thomas Nelson. I don't think there's anything on the back, but obviously what I have done to this Bible probably has voided the warranty, the warranty. Not to mention just the age of this. I would imagine this warranty card is probably long past due. Not to mention I'm not the original owner. Either way, we'll move on. So here's the box. It's a very nice box. I actually love this little design here. They have this is the Thomas Nelson Bibles logo they did, and it's like a little cross with an NV. I don't know how well you can see it. I hope this camera picks it up. Yeah, you can see it pretty well there. But I love this design. It's just kind of kitschy and unique. I really like it. We'll take a look at the end here with all the information. So it's King James Version. It's a red letter edition, and it's a gift Bible. So it would have been kind of, I would imagine, like a cheaper offering. Usually gift Bibles are kind of the cheaper ones. And it was a white genuine leather with gold edges. And there's the item number, 116-W for white, I would imagine. We'll take a look here at the edges. Yeah, and it's a two-piece box of gold on the back there. So go ahead and get into it. Here we go, the Bible. I'm laughing only because of all the things that I've done to it. It's really been a labor of I don't know, a labor of love, maybe a little bit, but more so just a labor of exploration of my talents and gifts when it comes to customizing Bibles. So again, this was a white Bible to begin with, and you can see here it says, it's got Holy Bible kind of imprinted there, and it was in gold. And then on the back there, it had the indications of some spine ribs, and it says Holy Bible, King James Version, red letter, and Nelson. And then on the back, it said genuine leather. It's kind of like reverse imprinted, a little weirdly there, but it's kind of reverse imprinted. So it was white with gold accents originally, and after I got a hold of it, I started using some paints called, it's a brand called Angelus, and I will leave links for all the stuff that I talk about in the description of this video. So if you guys are interested in any of this product, you can certainly check it out there. I don't get any money from them, so it's just kind of this is what I use sort of deal. But I used Angelus Paints, and Angelus Paints are specifically formulated for leathers and like acrylics and vinyls. Mostly I believe their target audience is like custom, like shoe painters, sneaker painters. So guys who do like all the fancy artwork on tennis shoes and that sort of thing. And I figured it would probably hold up best on these Bibles, only because, Bible covers are leather. So what I did on this one is I kind of did like an antiquing on it. And I forget specifically how I did it. I think what I bought was I got a copper colored paint, and I painted I put one layer of that copper paint. So it was like this kind of like shiny copper, and you can kind of see it there. But it was like a shiny copper over the whole Bible. And then it just looked weird because it was all copper. So then what I did was I did a black wash, and I got just their plain black paint, and I kind of I put it on a little bit, I kind of watered it down a little bit and put it on a napkin, and then I just kind of like rubbed it on. And I gave it almost this antique look. I think it turned out pretty cool. It's definitely unique in how it looks. It's very shiny. I probably should have gone with like a matte finish. But I think I had like a semi-gloss finish that I put on it, like a semi-gloss kind of sealant for like a last layer. But that's what I ended up doing on it. So it definitely is unique. It does look a little bit antique to me. I just wish, again, I would have gone with like a matte finish. Either way, definitely unique. So we'll go ahead and take a look here. Another thing I did, I don't even know where to continue next. Yeah, let's go up here. So another thing that I did was, I don't know if you can see it there, the head and tail bands were like very yellowed just from over the years. They had oxidized and had gotten kind of this crusty, funky yellow. So what I did was that same brand, Angelus, I took that same paint and I painted, I don't know if you can see it there, but I painted the head and tail bands silver. I purchased like a silver kind of metallic paint, and I tried painting them silver. Now, believe it or not, it didn't actually turn out that bad, and it's kind of glittery if you get it in the right light there. But it's definitely a unique look, and it was easy enough. I just kind of took my time. I had a very small paintbrush. I took my time and just kind of painted it. And it's definitely unique, and was definitely a lot easier than, trying to switch out the head and tail bands, which can be kind of a pain. And for older Bibles, it's kind of hard to do because sometimes you can tear into the block, and it just becomes messy. So I just went ahead and went that route. Now, as far as the ribbons are concerned, you can see there's a little bit of funkiness going on there, and let me pull them out right quick, and then we'll take a look at the gilt. I know you guys are probably like, what with the gilt? But let's take a look at the ribbons first. So with the ribbons, I had a couple of ribbons that were left over from some Bibles that I had pulled them out and replaced with some newer ribbons. And so what I did with this one is I kind of nested the ribbons. So instead of putting the ribbons next to each other, I had one thin one and one thick one. And I was thinking to myself that it would look weird if they were next to each other, like a thin ribbon and then a thick one over here. So what I did was I kind of nested them, and I put the thick ribbon behind the skinny one. So it kind of hides it if you go like that. But if you're like this, you can see there's two ribbons, and then you can pull them out to the side. I know a lot of people don't like stacked ribbons, but this is just something I wanted to try only because, like I said, there were two different thicknesses in ribbons, and I felt like using these ribbons, and I just wanted to try something different. So that's what I went with. A little different. A little bit different. I forget what was on here originally, so I'm sorry if you happen to have this edition, the 116W, or if you're looking at one, you wanted to see what the original way that it looked. Sorry, it's been updated, but that's what I put on there, and it's just two double-sided satin ribbons. I forget even what I pulled them off of, but just something else that I replaced the ribbons with. So, and I did a flat cut on the ends there for them. So let's go ahead and get into the not into the Bible yet, but we'll take a look at the art gilt. Now, I will say that my art gilt here looks very terrible only because I was not able to really preserve the gold. You can see a little bit, it's kind of preserved there on the tops and the bottoms, but it's pretty rough on the side. And I've been trying to experiment with different ways to preserve the gold. On some Bibles, the gold holds up very well if you do art gilt. On other Bibles, as you're applying the art gilt, it just comes off very easily. What I have learned through my time of applying different art gilts is that the less you rub, the better. Because when you rub, that's an abrasive process. You're getting your cloth or whatever and rubbing it on, or some people use like the makeup applicator sponges. Either way, you're rubbing that art gilt on, and then you have to rub it, and then you have to wipe it off. So you're constantly rubbing this. And the more you rub the art gilt, the more that gold disappears. So what I have learned, if I could do this again, I would totally do it this way. What I've learned is to dab. So instead of like rubbing your art gilt on, you dab it on, dab, 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 dab. And then what I probably would have done is like dabbed all the art gilt on, got it to where I wanted it, and then just done one final wipe at the very end with like maybe a terry cloth or like a microfiber cloth or rag or something disposable, and just maybe wipe very slowly so it can have time to absorb into that rag. And that's what I would have done differently, hopefully to preserve this better. This is one of the first ones that I did, and that's why it looks kind of beat up like that. But we'll go ahead and open it up, and we'll take a look. And you can see that what I was trying to go for, I think I successfully achieved. And I've seen a couple other YouTubers and other kind of Bible customizers that have done this same look, and I kind of achieved like an ombre look, which is what I was going for. So what I did was I applied the red first, and then I came back and I touched up on the corners, or I just came back and did like a second coat here with black on the corners. Now, you could do whatever color you wanted to. So if you wanted to do a, say like a red and a blue, but you just have to keep in mind that this ink is essentially see-through. So if you did red and then blue on the colors on the corners, you would end up with red and then purple corners. So you have to kind of combine the two colors that you're combining. So you have to have a little bit of sense of, I guess, like the artistic color wheel. If you mix a primary and a primary, you get a secondary, and then a secondary and a secondary, you get a tertiary. So just kind of that stuff to remember. But I think it turned out really good, the ombre effect there. So you have kind of the black corners that fades into the red side, and then it goes back to the black. So just kind of neat. And we'll take a look at the last thing I changed on this one. I really went hard on this. I'm sorry. I changed a lot. But the last thing I changed were the end sheets here. Now I'll go ahead and I will also go ahead and post a link for where I got my end sheets. There's a site called Mulberry Papers that I really love. They have some really, really, really unique paper offerings. And I think that if I remember it correctly, this was just like a few pieces that I had left over, and I wanted to try like mix and matching to see how it would look with the black and the red, black and the red. And I think that this was a red banana paper is what they call it. And I just really like the subtle kind of textures that they had in the paper. And I really don't remember what this one was. But it was just a black paper with some gold little threads kind of worked throughout. And I'll show you the back too. I repeated the same thing on the back. But I really like unique end sheets. David Delfino from Cherry Hill Bibles does an excellent job with this. He uses some really unique end sheets, and I can appreciate that. It just gives it a little bit of a kind of a bump up if that's your thing. I know some people would prefer the more traditional look, but if you're looking for something a little more unique, certainly end sheets are a good way to get a unique look with kind of minimally invasive, procedure, I guess. Okay, so that is everything that I have done to this Bible. Let's go ahead and take a look at the actual biblical text in the Bible itself. So go ahead and get into it here. It was at some point it was a paste down. It's still a paste down. I don't know. The corner work has kind of gotten covered up here, but I'll try and show you the little bit of corner work that you can possibly see there. Go ahead and look, and then we'll get into the biblical text. Let's go ahead and open it up. So you have one thick end sheet, cardstock, and you have kind of a cardstock presentation page. And if you see any writing, again, this Bible was written in and kind of well used, so there will be some of that throughout. You'll have the title page here, the Holy Bible, Old and New Testaments, with a guide to the adventure of Bible reading. That's kind of neat, right? And then here is that guide to the adventure of Bible reading. a little snippet. Let me get you in there. And then we have the copyright page, copyright 1970 by Thomas Nelson Inc., Camden, New Jersey, and then printed in the U.S. And you can see here the Bible too had started coming apart. It was glued, and looks like there's some reinforcing tape you can kind of see back there. And it is sewn, but just over the years, this first signature or these first few pages always tend to kind of come apart here. So it was well used, which is good. I much rather prefer having a well-used Bible than one that's like in pristine condition, because I feel bad for the person who had it in pristine condition and never read it. Go ahead and take a look there. A little reading guide. And there's a few pages of this, with some general questions and answers here. And then there's a little call out here, great Bible chapters, and it gives you a little, kind of like a table of contents for some good stories, I guess, in the Bible. And then a reading guide to Jesus, his life, his friends, his enemies. It's got like a little breakdown there, some helps. I always love this sort of interesting kind of extra little articles that they add to these Bibles. It's just a nice little way to kind of help you along there. I'll flip through this real quick. And there's the title page for the Bible. And the copyright page. And then your table of contents. And into the biblical text. So we have the first book of Moses called Genesis. And this is just a King James verse by verse. Take a look here. You have your book name, your chapter numbers, your page number, your running headers here. Then you have your chapter callouts here. And they do use, it looks like Pilcrows. It doesn't look like the verse number is bolded, at least I can't tell that it is, but there are Pilcrows indicating a new paragraph, where your paragraph would start. Just a real simple verse by verse layout here, which is kind of traditional. This is kind of a pretty traditional verse by verse layout for the time. We'll go ahead and get to the poetic books. And there's no poetic formatting or anything like that. It's just versified. One thing you will notice is the excellent paper. Definitely they did a great job with the paper in this. There's very little show through, and this is an extremely thin volume. I mean, not the thinnest I have, but it's certainly very thin. So very nice paper, very bright white paper. Let's get to the New Testament. And this one is red letter. Apologies for the red letter. There's nothing I can do to There's nothing I can do to change the red letter on this. But it is not quite as bad as I've seen. It is not the neon pink. It is pink-ish. but it's a little darker on the pink scale, so it's not too terrible. Let's get a close-up here. Yeah, not too terrible. And let's go ahead and get to the end. We'll check out the back of the Bible. You can see some notes and some highlighting there from the previous owner. All right, and then in the back, we have the end of the New Testament. Then you have a Harmony of the Gospels, Parables and Miracles in the Bible, and then you have a dictionary concordance with some photos. I'm going to pull this out. Pronunciation key, abbreviations of the books and the Bibles. Oh, I always love these little sections. With the little helps, the pictures and that sort of thing. Just interesting. But yeah, so you get through the dictionary and concordance. You can see here the separation again. When you wrap up with the dictionary and concordance, that's the end of it. So that's your final page. Go ahead and take a look. There is, it looks like a date code, so I'm guessing that would be January, February, March, April of 1972. And then there's an N, I'm not sure what the N stands for. And then you have your item number 116W for white. So, an interesting little Bible there. Certainly interesting as far as aftermarket customization goes. Bible buddies, I got so excited that I totally forgot to give measurements and all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and hit that real quick. Apologies, I just got so excited about the way the Bible looked. I forgot about the important measurements and stuff. So it measures in at 6.5 inches tall. And we have about 4 3/8 inches wide. And like I was saying before, it is a thin Bible, and it's right at an inch thick. So nice and thin option. Let's go ahead and take a look at the text. We'll get it measured up real quick. Now this is kind of a smaller text, so we'll go ahead and look at the lowercase first. Gonna find an M right there on mount. Actually, it doesn't look too shabby. Oh, it's getting kind of small. Looks like an 8-point font for the lowercase, and then for the uppercase, let's use the B here. Go down to 8. Oof. Yeah, uppercase looks like 7.5. So 7.5 for uppercase, 8-point for lowercase. So it is kind of a compact size, kind of a compact font, kind of a Frankenstein's Bible. If you guys have any questions on this Bible, please feel free to leave them below. I will leave some links and that sort of thing down below in the description of this video, so you can see what products I used. Maybe I'll even leave what ribbons I normally use. I don't know if these are the ones I normally use. This one kind of feels like the one I normally use, so I'll leave links below. Check them out. If you have any questions, below, like, comment, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. Otherwise, Bible buddies, I will talk to you later. Bye.